Lieve mensen, hartelijk welkom bij deze lunchlezing van Rotterdam de Boer op. Met een van mijn favoriete import-Rotterdammers, Zuzanna Zielińska van HarvestCare. Voordat ik Zuzanna vraag om zichzelf te introduceren vandaag, ga ik heel even wat vertellen over Rotterdam de Boer op en over de lunchlezing. Want er is toch weer een hele nieuwe groep mensen vandaag weer aangesloten op dit thema. De Rotterdam de Boer op lunchlezing ben ik, voor mij was april 2023 was de eerste. En sindsdien hebben we het bijna maandelijks gedaan. Zijn we begonnen om de brede thematiek die speelt binnen dit programma, om dat te delen met ons netwerk. Gewoon echt als een kennisinstrument en een community instrument. Vinden we belangrijk dat mensen gewoon horen wat voor prachtige ontwikkelingen er in dit programma allemaal plaatsvinden. Voor wie het niet weet, Rotterdam de Boer op is een programma dat is geïnitieerd door Natuurmonumenten en is gefinancierd door de Postcode Loterij. En samen met, we vergeten het elke keer, 25 partners en nog veel meer samenwerkingspartners, dus 25 programmapartners en nog veel meer samenwerkingspartners, werken wij hard aan het versterken van de biodiversiteit op het boerenland rondom Rotterdam. En dat doen we door samen met boeren te werken aan hoe je natuurinclusiever kan gaan werken. We werken aan het aanhalen van de banden tussen stad en platteland. Dus de stedeling dat prachtige ommeland inkrijgen. Zodat hij het leert kennen en het gaat waarderen. En we werken ook hard aan het verbeteren van het verdienmodel van de natuurinclusieve boer via het winkelmandje. Dus afzet, dat is natuurlijk de beste manier om eigenlijk de biodiversiteit te versterken, is als die groene boeren, waaronder biologische boeren, gewoon een eerlijke prijs voor hun producten krijgen en het werk voor de natuur kunnen blijven doen. Dat doen we dus, er kwam nog iemand binnen, dat doen we dus door op allerlei manieren ook het aanbod van die producten te vergroten in de stad voor de stedeling. En door de stedeling via publiekscampagne Eet Natuurlijk Lokaal bekend te maken met al deze mooie ontwikkelingen en de producten die mensen kunnen kopen. Dan naar de dag van vandaag. Het is vandaag mijn allerlaatste Rotterdam de Boer op lunchlezing. Mijn opvolger zit hier naast me. Dat is Eline, misschien wel bekend van Hoeve Biesland. Ze zit mee te luisteren. De volgende keer is in begin september, dan zal zij het doen. En ik vind het wel echt heel grappig dat mijn laatste lunchlezing dus in het Engels is. Nu heb ik best wel een internationale opleiding gehad en ook wel wat internationaal werk gedaan. Maar als je in lokaal voedsel werkt, dan zit je toch best wel in een Hollandse setting. Dus mijn Engels is wat roestig. Dus vooraf alvast excuses. Maar goed, Zuzanna gaat vooral heel veel vertellen, dus mij zul je misschien niet al te veel horen. Zuzanna, welcome today. So nice to have you here. We've known each other for... Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. There's still some people joining us. Good to see you. Can you share, first of all, before you go into all your interesting projects, share something about yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? What's been your journey?
Yes, with pleasure. Thank you a lot. So I come from Poland. I was living in Denmark for 6 years, where I studied global health and nutrition. And this was really the beginning of the journey of connecting the soil health and human health, especially via very practical experience in the care farm. Actually, you have quite a lot of care farms in Netherlands as well, which are this community peri-urban farms that grow food, but they use the process of growing food as a healing for people with different diseases. And yeah, in the care farm, I really discovered that there are a lot of models that are really beneficial for the healthcare, but they're seen as alternative. And it's a matter of how can we transition those alternatives to become a mainstream. And I also started my first startup there, where we're upcycling coffee waste into food products. And that was the kind of first experience to discover, if you want to change something, it's worth having an organization because you have more structure and more possibilities. And then 2.5 years ago, I joined Fresh Ventures, which I'm going to talk a bit about. But it's a studio that helps people that have fire or passion towards something to to open organizations specifically focused on the food system transformation. And 2.5 years, and I'm still here. And some of my colleagues are also from the Fresh Ventures today in the audience. So hello to Anige and Sheriff.
So what would you call yourself? What's your profession?
Well, I call myself environmental nutritionist because I work on the crossword between environmental sciences and nutrition.
So you do also know a lot about nutrition and what people should be eating and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's my university education.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I'm a nutritionist by profession.
Nutritionist by profession. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, we'll just go ahead, give us your presentation, and I'm wondering what questions will pop up.
Perfect. Now I just need to be able to share my screen because I
hope it works. Maybe I should change the setting here.
Yes, now it works, so it's perfect. Okay, awesome. So let's have it started. Okay, so again, thank you so much for inviting me and being able to talk about it, but also supporting throughout all of the process. So next 25 minutes, I would like to, I have kind of 3 objectives for you. First is to dive a bit deeper into, or well, maybe not that deep, but into why soil and food should be part of the healthcare, because I think now it's quite obvious that food should be part of healthcare system, but we are still often missing the element of where the food is coming from. The second objective is to give you a bit of overview where we are, in these transitions, what's happening, and then tell you what we are doing with this knowledge and work in Rotterdam. As we like to say in Rotterdam, we need to make it happen. It's more about doing than talking. So it's also very important that we are actually implementing this new findings into the reality of Rotterdam South. So I would like to start from a bit of play with you, if you're open for that. So I have 9 questions where I will read you the statement, and then I'll give you a few seconds to think about, okay, is this statement correct or not? So you can either type your answer in the chat, or you can just think it through. It doesn't matter, as long as you put your thoughts into what's your opinion about it. Okay. So the first very easy question, 30% of the soil in EU are degraded. Is this a correct statement or a false statement? I give you a few moments. And this is a false statement, as according to European Commission, it's up to 60% of the soil in EU are degraded, which account for around 50 billion euros loss every year in Europe. So quite alarming statements. Second, 10% of nutritional value was lost since 1950 in vegetables. And I know this is a very generic statement. The differences vary across the crops, but this is just an average. Is this a correct statement or false statement? And this is false statement, as some of the studies are showing that it's up to almost 40% that we have lost of the nutritional value in the last 70 years. Third, the healthcare cost of the global food system are $11 trillion globally at minimum. Do you think this number is correct? I know it's quite hard to imagine what is $11 trillion. Like for me, it's kind of incomprehensible, but it's a very, very long number with many zeros. And this statement is correct. So there was this awesome new report that came out just a few days ago, actually, from Food System Economics Commission, which estimated that the value of the hidden cost of the food system ranges somewhere between 14 to 18 US dollars. So they took a central of 15 trillion, and 11 of those trillions is directly costing us in the healthcare, 3 trillions in environmental cost, and 900 billions in poverty cost. So clearly we are doing something wrong. Okay, let's move to 3 questions around healthcare. 50% of all deaths in Europe are caused by non-communicable diseases. Those are lifestyle-related diseases as diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, diseases that can be prevented. True or false? Let's see. This is false because up to 90% of all deaths in EU are preventable because they are caused by our diet, our movements, our general lifestyle choices. So most of us probably will die from something that could be prevented. Healthcare spending related to obesity and overweight reaches 65 billion euros per year in Netherlands. True or false? Let's have a think. It's false because it's up to 79 billion euros according to Maastricht University that Netherlands is spending every year on the healthcare costs related to obesity. So, okay, we can, like, it would be quite logical since 90% of the deaths are preventable. We're spending a lot of money on obesity, overweight, that we would try to prevent it. So the question is on average 3% what we are spending from the healthcare budget in Netherlands on prevention? And this is quite surprising because this is the number that I was giving because I was checking I had some statistic, but yesterday I just double checked and it's false because apparently, at least in 2021, we spent less than 1% in Netherlands on prevention, which is still way above the average of 0.6 in EU. For example, you can see I'm from Poland and we are spending around 0.2% on prevention. Great. Okay, so that was healthcare. Now a few questions around the social system. So healthy diet, healthy food is on average 24% more expensive in Netherlands. True or false? This is a true statement, and researchers from Amsterdam University have researched it 2 years ago, and they calculated that on average it's around 50 euros more expensive than an average Dutch diet. Another social question, 26% of citizens from disadvantaged neighborhoods suffer from food insecurity in Netherlands. So every 4th person in, for example, Rotterdam South. And this is also true. The findings suggest that determinants within the personal environment, so, what's my housing situation? Where do I live? What's my work situation? Is one of the best reasons to explain the differences among food insecurity in our society. And the final question of this short introduction is we can expect 45% less productivity among employees that eat unhealthy diets compared to those that regularly eat whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. And this statement is false, because a study quite long, okay, it's true, it was studied from more than 10 years ago, but it was done on almost 20,000 employees in US, showed that there was 66% less productivity among those that had unhealthy diet. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this little quiz. And basically in this way, I present you why I'm doing and we are doing what we're doing, because we have those issues and because those issues are interconnected. And because everything around health starts in the soil. So I could draw you a very complex detailed map of food system analysis, but that we could spend just 2 hours on that, and it's much more fun to co-create it. So very quickly, just to kind of try to paint you a picture. So we are operating in those 3 different sectors. There's the food sector, there's the social sector, and the healthcare sector. And all of those sectors, of course, have so many dynamics. As let's say, if we just zoom in on the food sector, we know we have a food system that was designed after the Second World War. Our focus was calories. We just wanted to avoid hunger. And even though right now we are producing way more calories that we need to feed the whole world, we still have the same mindset. We just need to produce more and more and more. Even though often we end up with producing calories that are not really fulfilling our physiological needs. And of course, the production is directly related to subsidies, what kind of common agriculture policy we have. And it's no wonders if we are subsidizing, cheap wheat, cheap sunflowers, cheap sugars, that we are ending up with ultra pro-inflammatory diet. That is the diet that is the most accessible and affordable for people. And right now we're living kind of in systems that are very disconnected, even though the food system directly affects our social system and the social system directly affects the healthcare spending. Those systems are still kind of not really talking to each other and very in their own silos. So the question is, how can we unite those 3 systems? How can we make sure that the healthcare and the food system have the shared goal, which is the human health and planetary health? How can we make sure that the healthcare is really used as food is medicine in our society, but also that the food is not really left to the investors and to private owners, big corporations, but it's really seen as the public domain, where the same as we worry for where our kids go to school and if NS will drive me to Leiden, the same we should worry if we make sure that we can feed the population in a way that we have this best citizen, so to call, right? And we are seeing a lot of movement on the bottom 2 systems. So we are seeing a lot of, people waking up and start making connections, and, the rise of wellness and yoga and farmer markets, which I love and I'm part of, but I'm also recognizing that I'm part of them because I'm well-educated from privileged, household. And right now, this connection is really kind of locked up to a premium market, to people who can pay extra for organic, to people that have time to go home and spend 1 hour of cooking. And for me, as long as we are not including the social system, we are still really perpetuating, a lot of challenges and obstacles we have in society. And I think with the current climate crisis, it's really about being ambitious and saying, okay, we really need to figure something out that works only not for the rich few. Yeah. So as I told you, this kind of thinking and planning kind of came out and strategizing from the Fresh Ventures, which is this talent and venture building on a mission to transform the food system, and they are helping to build new steward-owned ventures and addressing neglected but critical challenges. So I would say they're really pioneering, because they said, oh, okay, like if something has to be done, something has to be done. If the market, so to call, is not there yet, we are going to make sure that we are going to work around it until we kind of create the market for it. So I'm really amazed and inspired by them. They're located in Blue City in Rotterdam, and that's the reason why I'm also here. And out of this venture, the HarvestCare was created. Our mission is to establish food is medicine models in vulnerable neighborhoods to, on one side, regenerate people's health, increase social mobility, and create demand for regenerative, organic, nature inclusive. I don't want to go into this discussion, could be a whole different discussion, produce using the healthcare incentives. So I hope that, you got a bit of introduction where we are. I would like to also paint a bit of like macro picture, because I really like this macro thinking. So it's quite clear for us now that there's a direct connection between diet and health, and like this is proven for many years now, nobody is really questioning it. It's true that we are still somehow focused on the few things that we disagree. So mostly it's, should we eat meat or not? But if we put away this thinking, most of us can agree that healthy diet is about eating whole food and processed products. So we just want to eat, make sure that we eat, you know, as seasonal, as local as possible. We cook it from scratch, or somebody cooks it for us, and it's unprocessed. If you would like to learn more about what processed food is doing for us, I recommend this book, Ultra Processed Food, that I'm reading right now, which goes into how the food industry managed to engineer our food, totally changing the molecular structure, making sure that we are addicted and making a lot of harm to us. So basically the solution is eating what is naturally coming from the earth. We have quite of a consensus over this. Now there's an emerging science that looks at the nutrient density, which I'm going to talk a bit in a second, but basically nutrient density is looking at how many vitamins, minerals, or other health promoting properties do we have in our food. And we see quite significant variation depending on how this food was produced. Then there's emerging also proof that for the economical value using the food in the healthcare, especially in US, we see a lot of science, position papers from Rockefeller Foundation, which are really saying, okay, guys, we could be saving so much money if we would start using seriously food as an intervention in our healthcare systems. Okay, so we are building the scientific proof, we are building the acceptance, then we need proof of concept of marrying those two words, farming and healthcare. And this is also happening across the world globally. You know, there's so many models that we could be working on. Hospital farms. I visited one in US from Rotterdam Institute. In Liège, for example, the Liège municipality is hiring farmers to grow food directly to their schools and to their farms. Food pharmacy, which I'm working with. So there's a lot of ways we can connect those two words. And it's all about getting out there and seeing what kind of pioneers they are and how they are doing it. Then we need the municipality-wide proof of concept. So we really need to kind of, go through micro projects as mine right now to really say, no, it's going to happen in whole Rotterdam. Then we need the national level of incentives. And I give you here a good example. So we're going to work with diabetes type 2 patients. And there's an organization called Care Diabetes 2 which provided a first ever lifestyle intervention, a program for 6 months to help people to really reverse their diabetes using lifestyle incentives. It took them 10 years. So quite a long time, but they managed after 6 or 7 years to get to structure funding, where now they are the first structurally funded approach using behavior via the healthcare incentives in Netherlands. And because they're doing it so well, EU have paid them to train the trainers in 12 different countries to teach other countries how they can replicate it. So there are ways to do it. And,
Zuzanna?
Yes.
What's this program called?
Care Diabetes 2
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So you can, if we would go back to the slides, like they're, for example, working on the healthcare and social system, because this approach is costing around 3,000 euros. The participants only have to pay 50 euros, so it's very accessible. It's very accessible for anybody in the society. They of course talk a lot about nutrition, but they don't have an impact on the food system, and that's the kind of goal. How can we get inspired by what they're doing, but still include the farmer in the whole conversation? Okay. I know that this might seem like a very ambitious long-term plan. Like, I know that this will take probably 10 to 15 years, but I mean, what is 10 to 15 years in that span of the planet? It's nothing, so we have the time. And one of our main, let's say, inspiration is from US. The lady in the white, her name is Erin Martin. She's on our advisory board, an amazing woman. She is running food pharmacy, so the model that we are trying to bring from US to Rotterdam, where they give people on low income for a whole year fresh fruits and vegetables from regenerative local farmers, directly from the farmers. Just in 4 years, they managed to grow from 3 to 8 farmers. They published study proving the approach. Now they also managed to get a financial model where they have Oklahoma State Department of Medicine, or whatever name it is, that is willing to pay for the outcomes. So they are trying to really figure out like structural funding beyond just grants. And also Erin just came back 3 weeks ago from the Washington, D.C., where she was testifying in front of the whole politician, jury, whatever, trying to make sure that this is brought to the national level and not just in Oklahoma. So in US, lots is happening within this sphere of regeneration and healthcare. Big money are coming to come, and we have some pioneers that we can really learn on, like, okay, what should be our next steps? And of course, their healthcare is very different. There's private insurances, like it's complex, but it's still great examples. So why Erin and me, since we are kind of in the healthcare providers, why are we talking about soil? Where there's the very basic level of like, well, soil is the base of human life. 95% of food comes from the soil. Soil is not only food, soil is, carbon sequestration, climate regulation, nutrient cycling, also our natural heritage. So that's the kind of basic level, like, hey, plus our soil soon will become unable to produce food, so we really need to change quickly. But there is also a bit more. Now we are starting to get into a bit more really direct connection between soil and human health. This is a screenshot from Soil to Gut project from Leiden, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But basically, because of the unsustainable practices we have done for over almost a decade, and we have really depleted the soil health, the soil microbiome. That means all of the bacteria, fungi, viruses, and we really created microbiome that is very pathogenic. And of course, when you create pathogenic microbiome, you're going to end up also creating poor quality produce that then will have bad consequences on our gut microbiome. And gut microbiome and human microbiome could be a totally different lunch topic, which I'm very happy to dive deeper on a different occasion. We could really just dive deeply into it. But basically now, mostly probably all of you know it, like our gut health is our second brain. It affects directly our mental health. It affects, our ability to produce serotonin. It is a base of our immune system, so many elements. And of course, when we are eating food that is depleted in good bacteria, and we are eating mostly dead food right now, we have a very difficult time to create a good microbiome environment. So the question is, how can we improve together with the farmers, with the industry, with the healthcare, really microbiomes throughout the soil to the human gut that are beneficial for us? And then the third reason why we should look at the soil health is because depending on the soil, it has a totally different nutritional value. Density before is the amount of food produced in proportion to energy, and that was secondary metabolites. Right now, we don't really know what's the most optimal variation. Nutrient variation is looked at across different metrics. How well is our food performing? If you are interested in this topic, you need to. They are the leader in this field. They're an NGO that is running this research for over 5 years. They just stopped because they said, okay, our goal was to create to research if there is nutrient variation. There is. We prove it, we know it, so now we go to the next objectives of our organization. But here's a snapshot from one of their research or one of their reports. You can see all of the crops that they have researched. I think it was 2021 or 2022. And then we just have snapshots from antioxidants and polyphenols. So let's just take the most extreme example. That is the blueberries, you know, on the antioxidant level, it goes from somewhere, I think it was like 400 to 40,000. That's like, you know, the folds, or even more, I don't remember fully, but the folds are up to like 10, 20 times. That means that to have the antioxidants, and you might know what's antioxidant, but I'll just remind you very quickly. So antioxidants are molecules in which can donate an extra electron, because they have free electron on their final ring, to free radicals. Free radicals are those molecules in our body that are missing an electron, and if they touch any tissue, any cell, they are destroying it. And if they destroy it for very long, we have something called oxidative stress, and they can lead to cancers and other chronic diseases. So it's very important we have those antioxidants in our diet, because we are living stressful life, a very pollutant environment, so we have a lot of free radicals. So to get the same amount of blueberries, of antioxidants, you would have to eat, you know, between one blueberry that was produced properly in healthy soil, or 20 blueberries, which is of course challenge because we have a limited stomach capacity, right? So that's why it's so important to say, okay, if we want to use food as medicine, we want to use it seriously, that the same way as we would use insulin. Like, it's important, you know, what is the quality of this food that we are using? Okay, and final note, we also have an NGO called Regenerative Healthcare European Association. You have this logo on the right here, where we have a database where we, for free, in our own time, just whenever we find a new research popping out of this topic, we put it available out there. So if you really look, you know, if you want to learn more, we also run webinars or whatever, but you can just read it much more there. Or if you need to prove something, it's a great source of lots of proofs, scientific proofs. Okay, so we have all this knowledge. What do we do about it, right? Because it's not about just like knowing it. We need to implement somehow. So I think it's quite easy, to be honest. And in my head, it's quite easy. What we need to do is we need to take food from regenerative organic farmers, local farmers. We need to make sure that we take this food via short supply chain to maximize the benefits, the financial benefits for the farmers, and just keep the middlemen as much as possible. And we want to deliver this food to chronically ill patients, which are already costing a lot of money, and they need solutions and they need ways to transform their lives. And then we want to make sure that they just don't, you know, end up with, oh, this is just food. No, they need to get the support from the chefs, from the doctors, from the dietitians, how to transform their habits. And then we want to make sure that we want to prove this scientifically, both on the agronomic and medical approach, in order for the structural funding to come in, which comes from the government, municipality, insurance companies. So that's why we are working with a model that can provide this model, let's say. It's called Food Pharmacy. It's a program designed to increase access to healthy food using financial incentives such as free products supported by health professionals. So how does it look exactly? You already know the model that I told you. Now it's just about putting the amazing different partners that we can make it happen together. So we work with Registratie, and also Rotterdam, the boer helps us a lot to make sure that we can map all the local farmers and we can take food directly from them. And then we have a collaboration in Rotterdam South where we work with a local GP, Mosaic, that is very much aligned with using food as medicine, that are helping us to get connected with the patients. Then again, local partner, public food, Floris. I love this guy. He was here also on one of the lunch some weeks ago. They're helping us to use their canteen, use their mensa place where we can take the patient fresh, but we are also looking at social finance now, or some universities that already can help us to map that this is health, sorry, not health, but cost beneficial approach. And the reason why we need the science is because that's kind of our data that can convince them that this is worth giving a shot. So I told you that we have like two different research happening. So on one side, we have the medical research with Erasmus MC that hopefully will start in around 3 months. We just last week submitted ethical medical clearance, which was hard, but hopefully worth it. It will allow us to officially collect the data. We're going to take 20 patients with diabetes type 2 that are going to receive the intervention, and then 20 patients that are our control group. The patients that receive the intervention will get 12 weeks of organic food boxes that they're going to pick up in Rotterdam South. They're going to get 2 healthcare workshops with dietitians, 2 medicine workshops with chefs, and also visit with dietitian. And then the control group will just get the standard treatment, which is the dietitian visit. We're going to measure, insulin level, cardiovascular risk management data, productivity level, life satisfaction, and a few others on the baseline after 3 months, so right after the intervention, and after 6 months from the start, to also see what's the effect afterwards. And then be able to hopefully publish a medical paper within 1 year or something. And then we were super, super, super lucky because a Leiden University got almost 2 million funding from KIK 2 years ago to research the connection between soil, it's called soil to gut, so between soil health, human health connection, so something that I already told you a bit about. It's a very big project. Like, if you want to read about it, go online. It's a 6-year project. They're having a collaboration between, the biology department, soil department, and the medical department. So they're also going to, in year 4, look at it from the healthcare perspective. But in this year, we have 2 really amazing PhD students that are going to go to the 9 organic farmers from Registratie. So I was very happy because almost all of the farmers were very happy to participate. And they're going to test carrots, potatoes, onions, and green beans. They're going to collect interviews with the farmers to understand what kind of farming practices they are doing right now. Then they're going to measure the soil microbiome, the food microbiome, so what kind of bacteria there are in the carrot or whatever. Nutrient density, so vitamins, minerals, secondary metabolites. The test will be done in August. I am planning to follow them at least for one time, so maybe I can also grab somebody from Rotterdam the boer to make a bit of like blog post about it, whatever. And then we are going to have first results in 2025. And they're testing this across 100 different farms. And then they'll be hopefully able to compare those crops within conventional crops. So what kind of outcomes can we expect? The good part of food pharmacy is that it's quite well researched already in the US. There's around 20, 30 studies that are showing the effects of it. So we hope to expect some decrease in HbA1c, which is the insulin, of around, maybe between 5 to 8%. Decrease in BMI, of course, decrease in food insecurity. So we focus on population with a lower income. And also some other metrics as blood pressure. So all of the metrics that should be able to indicate that those patients will be better off and costing us less as the healthcare system. So what are the next? This year we have the pilot, really about, potential outcome payers, and then that would lead us hopefully to be able to create structured financial models in next 3 years where we can say, okay, now we have somebody that really recognized this as a valuable approach, and we want to have it more structurally funded than just running on the grants constantly. And then hopefully replication, but actually replication might happen quite earlier because I already talked with somebody in Utrecht and somebody in Nijmegen. This seems like this approach, and in general, the connection is becoming very popular. So maybe the replication or more like Dutch level push will come earlier. Let's see. Of course, I cannot do this. I cannot go without acknowledging all the amazing partners that allow us to do it, both financially, but also helping us with the knowledge piece. So those people are really like, they give it a shot and they thought, okay, this is, even though it's crazy, let's give it a try. So I'm super grateful. And I'm very happy to talk, and I'm sorry I talk so long, but I usually do it more interactive. But yeah, today I talk a lot. And then if you have any questions, you can just send me an email.
Thank you, Zuzanna.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing, right?
Could you please, yeah. I have a question that I think should have been your final sheet. Is what do you need?
What do I need?
Because
well,
I think it's you know, amazing presentation, amazing work. You know, I'm a big fan, but this is such important stuff for society, and it touches so many difficult problems that we are facing today and will be facing for many more years to come. So what do you need to speed this development up?
Great question. Well, first is like we need to make sure that the pilot will go well, right? Because if the research like doesn't show the data we would desire, then it will be quite hard to continue.
Right.
I think the biggest challenge, to be honest, will be the steps between where we are right now and getting into structure funding. Because I think once you get insurance on board, once you have municipality on board, and you don't have to like worry, like, okay, can we do one more pilot? Then you're good. Then you have the resources you need. You can really start making more people work on it. But I think the biggest challenge would be proving, like getting there, like these pieces of, convincing Rotterdam or convincing the first healthcare insurance that this is valuable. So that the years of proving, so getting the right resources, getting the right partners on board. Well, getting partners is quite easy, but I think it's like getting the money to prove it. That's the biggest challenge.
Getting the money to be able to prove it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
so anybody in this audience who could help Zuzanna with this, please contact her afterwards. I have one more question before I give the last 10 minutes of this hour to the other people in the audience, and that's one of the biggest problems I often sort of identify in this transition is that many people don't know how to cook anymore. So this lifestyle change that you are promoting, that sort of implies that people want to and are able to cook. What's your view on that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I am also like, you know that Floris is doing different approach. Floris from support from Rotterdam, the Burp, he's doing meal prep cafe where people
meal prep cafe. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cooking together and they have all of the food right away. Like if it turns out that people prefer to come for 3 hours and cook together and have it all done, why not? I mean, it still works, right? So why not having for sure the way of approach is that we provide people with the culinary workshops as well to have fun together. I think maybe also cooking is kind of boring because we are just cooking alone and sad and lonely. Maybe it's about coming together and cooking this together. Maybe it's about helping people to improve their skills, and this is what we want to try. But if it turns out that people just want to cook once and have it all done, we just transform the model a bit. And that's it.
But you do also think that that's an issue as well?
For sure. I think we are kind of, like our kitchens are not even equipped. Like I live in a house where I don't even have an oven. I think we're kind of going away from having the right equipment and
right. Okay.
So yeah, I think it's an issue as well. But maybe it's an issue also just lack of habit and lack of practice. So maybe you can work it out there.
Okay, that needs some work as well, maybe. Okay, let's go to the questions in the chat. Caroline Zeewald and Marlon Arkestein want to know if you're looking for any other farmers, and they are urban farmers, so within the city limits of Rotterdam. So you mentioned the 9 from Registratie that you're working with. Do you need more, or are you
Very great question. So I will try to source everything organic. So
certified organic?
No, just like trust organic.
Okay.
I would say, because there's lots of small-scale farmers that you can go and see what they're doing, but they don't have their certification, no? And I know that Registratie doesn't have everything organic. So for example, I bought, behind me, there's a box of 40 kilo of beans already ready for the participants. So I was very excited. So if, for sure, we could talk, like, depending on what they have, if I can add something that Registratie doesn't have organic, and then it's also hopefully a matter of next year. I mean, next year, maybe we can really try to say, we are going to diversify where we are taking food and also support small-scale Rotterdam-based farmers. I'm very happy to do so if we can.
Okay, so maybe Caroline and Marlon could contact you.
For sure.
Just to have the link. Okay.
Sure.
Zuzanna Vergouwen. Do you want to ask your question yourself? If so, please turn on your microphone and camera. Well, she's asking if you know Gerard Nagelhout. That's a really Dutch name. She's a professor of health and well-being at the University of Maastricht. Do you know her?
I don't know her, so I'm just going to copy this note here, so make sure I can reach out to her. Thank you a lot.
Okay, Erik Wellen, I think you're here. Could you please turn on your camera and mic, because you seem to have some really nice tips for Zuzanna?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon, I should say. Hi, Zuzanna. Yeah, there's no questions, but I like your research. I think it was about time. You talked about gut, so my gut feeling always said that organic food is the healthiest food if you take the cost of healthcare into consideration, and it looks like that's what you're now researching. So all I did is, I think you were looking for a health insurance company. Maybe ASR is a good one, which is operating nationally, but they are quite small and they are local. And I heard that you said something about kitchen appliances, and that made me think about Food Union in the Keilerweg.
Yeah, they must be connected.
So there were no questions, but just
two
nice
tips.
Food Union is
like
thankfully a really active player in the whole food field, yeah. Of course, in Rotterdam, and many people from Fresh use Food Union as well. So, Leon, thank you.
It's where Registratie also is. It's the same environment, the same location.
Fantastic.
Thank
if
you
you ever want to meet up for a coffee, or you want to talk about something else, this topic, then I'll be happy to do it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Are there any other questions? Because Leon also advises you to contact EOSTA, but you must know them. Big player in organic fruits and vegetables. Kate and Sharif, can you ask your question yourself, please?
Yes, hi. Hi, Zuzanna. Great presentation. Good to see you.
Sure. So good to see you.
So we were curious actually about the choice of vegetables. Why these 4?
Yeah, very good question. The main reason why those 4 is because the goal, the same as in the research done in US by David Montgomery and Anna Beagle, is another food recommendation I have for you. What's Your Food Aid? They're really digging into it. So if you want to go deeper, just read this book. They compared they were researching like 4 different crops, and they did it by comparing the same crops on organic and conventional or regenerative. So the researchers were just kind of limited to what kind of farmers they have within the conventional crops. And those were the 4 crops that they for sure knew they can also research on the conventional side. So we're kind of course, I listed so many more, and I wanted to go into beans and sorghum, as you know, like I really wanted to also research this for you. But yeah, we were kind of limited to be able to still compare it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There's no other questions in the chat, but I do have some which were posed when people subscribed to this meeting. And Miriam, who was just in the meeting herself, she asked how can we raise awareness on this topic even more? I think it's been taking off, you know, it's been growing. You hear more and more people talking about it, but what do you think is needed to raise awareness about the connection between soil and healthy food? Soil microbiome, yeah.
You know, it's a very, very interesting topic. Like I'm part of the Bionutrient Food Association, the research, the NGO that I mentioned that does the research. Right now, they are having this nutrient density conference. So for 16 weeks, they are interviewing, or for 2 hours, different experts in the field. You can still sign up. I also just download the webinar, so I can also just share it to somebody is interested. And one of the speakers there was her name is now, I forgot, but she's really pushing nutrient density in US to change USDA research, not to only look at the basic nutrition, really start doing much more research within the variety of nutrients that there is in the food. And what she says that right now, because when we want to go to a broader audience, we kind of need to use the marketing and simplification, no? And then suddenly those topics become not a science-based, but kind of value-based. Or we buy organic because we believe it's better, or because we feel better. But what she's saying is wrong, because it's not a value-based, it's a really science-based approach, but you just need to use communication to get to the broader audience. So, I mean, I think it requires like a national-wide campaigns, and I think some of them, like Floris also wants to do the national-wide campaign of making public good general right for all. And I think we just need people that are really good at campaigning and yeah. But sadly I'm not the person that knows how to do it. I'm too much
It's interesting because the government started a campaign to promote organic food, but everybody is so hesitant to make the health claim.
Yes, yeah. But farmers, they cannot make a health claim. Farmer that produce broccoli, they cannot say, hey, my broccoli is going to reduce your glucose level, because they are forbidden. So I think we really need to change a policy why pharmaceutical can do it and why farmers cannot do it.
Yeah, yeah. Miriam, do you want to join us and pose your question?
Yeah, sure. Really interesting lecture. Thank you, Suzanne. We are at the very process of investigating whether we can start a pilot at Spinozahof, which is a food connection. Which is a food connection a place in The Hague, to see, to make the point that if you are going to that kind of places, it will contribute to your health. And now I've listened to your lecture, and it seems to me that it's science-based on the health. Who should we connect, or who should we involve in this project from a more social point of view, on really making the point? So we're looking for a social buurtkamers, sorry, I don't know the name, to connect with us. But from a social point of view, who would be interested? And do you know of any university who would be interested to get it started?
Yes, I talked with the Utrecht, not Utrecht University, but the Hogeschool in
Hogeschool, the hogeschool.
Hogeschool, yes.
Yeah,
You can call them university. That's
The
a
HAS. No, yeah.
and we already had 2 conversations actually, and they are going to design research. So they're really good at connecting the social environments with the food environments and the food aspects. So if you can give me your email, I will connect you too. And then I think this could be a good connection for you.
Great. That's great. Thank you, Zuzanna.
There's so
Very
much
happy.
happening. That's something I learned about, there's so many people are working on this, and we really have a job in connecting them as well, So that's
Yes.
I think that's what you're doing as well, pretty often, Zuzanna, just connecting people.
Exactly. Because yeah, it's like if you make a good connection, things can go so well, And maybe just final like remark also, like it really helps to have the right target group, because before I wanted to do a preventive, but when it's prevention, it's suddenly so vague, so nobody listens. So then we say, okay, it's not about prevention, about a very well-defined intervention group as diabetes type 2 patients. And then the moment we decide, okay, we focus on this specific target group, even though it's a bit painful because you could help with food so many other target groups, but okay, we need to focus. And then there is right away, it's like, okay, then we can go to Erasmus MC because they have a whole department about diabetics type 2, and we can talk to insurance because of course
Sure.
they have a whole department. So it really accelerates. So within your Den Haag project, it also would make sense to have like a narrowed target group that's somehow labeled in the society as, oh, that's that target group.
Right. It's all about marketing maybe as well. Just choosing your right audience. Zuzanna, thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
hour of, well, kind of deep diving, not really deep diving, but in any case, learning about your work. I will share, of course, this registration, but also some of the things you mentioned.
The slides, maybe?
Yeah, the slides, of course, but Caroline is also asking about these webinars you were talking about from the Bio Association.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, it's a bit, let's not tell the people from US we're doing it, but I will share it to you.
Okay, cool. So if you can email those to me,
Yeah.
then I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to all the participants for being here today. And yeah, let's keep up the good work. This is such an important theme. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you next time. The next lunchlezing is hosted by Eileen on, I believe it's September 1st. Guest is not yet chosen. So if you have any interesting people that we should definitely interview from Rotterdam de Boer, please let us know. Yeah, see all of you in the future. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Doei.